If I told you, good morning, if I told you that this is a lake in Canada or in China, and you would say, no, I already know it's the Sea of Galilee, and it's actually in Magdala because you showed us Duc and Altum, and you know this, and you were never here. And why couldn't it be in China? Why couldn't it be in New Zealand? Why couldn't it be in Sweden or South Africa? And you were never here, so you can't prove to me. And you take it on my word. And if I introduced somebody to you like the last couple of days, and I said, this is a pastor from here or there, and you take it as true, why? Or you go to the supermarket and you take a package of something because it's labeled that it's napkins or it's cashews or whatever, and the package isn't see-through, and you buy it and you take it and you pay for it. We do so much based on faith, on trust in others. And actually it would be impossible, or do you think it would be possible to live without faith? And how do we learn faith? How do we learn what is faith? What's the essential ingredient of faith? So there's a knowledge component in faith. You know something. But how do you know it? I could tell you that this stone is 3 kilos or 10 pounds weight, and we put it on a scale and we measure it because we have something else that's 10 pounds weight and it balances out, so we know exactly that's 10 pounds weight. So there's a lot of stuff we can measure. We can count how many birds are flying there over the water. And faith is a very interesting dimension of human life. We couldn't live without faith. It's an access to a knowledge and a certainty that we can't measure ourselves, and we trust others who tell us it's like that. So faith is not just some exercise of a mental approach of some believers who believe in some stuff. Faith is actually something that everybody does and would be impossible to do, would be possible to live without doing it. Like you buy a bottle of beer, somebody left their bottle here. Heineken should give us a little reward here for doing advertising for them. So, and there's another one over there, so there were 2 guys here probably. So, you buy the bottle of Heineken, how do you know it wasn't gasoline inside it or just water? Because it's a green bottle, you could put water in it, nobody would know the difference when you'd buy it until you'd pour it out in the glass and it would be transparent like water. But you trust the people at the store that the bottle, and you trust the company that made the product, that put it in the wrapper, that put it in the bottle, that put it in the can, that send it to you by UPS, whatever, FedEx. Hey, you companies, you turn in a little dividend here, a little support for Magdala. So you trust. We couldn't work without trust. There were places you couldn't walk or travel in the past because there were pirates along the road. But I'm walking along here and I'm not expecting somebody to kill me. I trust that there's innocent, semi-civilized attitudes. Boker Tov, Dobre Jutro. Yesh Tagim, Adain Lo. Yesh. Tov. Yesh Lecha Akshav. Yesh Lecha. Oh, Adain Lo, okay. He says there's lots of fish, but they're still in the water, in the lake. Oh, here are friends here. Look at how fast they're growing. You should compare this to videos about a month ago. Quack, 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 quack. Quack, 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 quack. Quack, 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 quack. Quack, quack, quack. Quack, 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 quack. This is great. Quack, 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 quack. I'm just about well less than a meter to this first one here. You know, it's a little bit like that as well, that trust that they have. That's a component of faith. And we all learn that from the beginning of our lives because we're totally helpless. We're completely dependent on others, on our parents, and they love us in the normal, realistic, healthy condition of humanity. And they treat us with such care and tenderness. And also mercy when we make mistakes or kick or knock over the bottle of milk or whatever. And there would be that attitude of mercy, that attitude of tenderness, that closeness. And there's where faith grows. Because we trust our parents, and then they tell us that there's a place called Australia, there's a place called Canada, and then we trust our teachers when they explain us that the mountains in that country are called by this name, and the people in that country do those things, and this kind of music is from the Middle Ages, or this kind of music is from Renaissance times or Baroque times or whatever. So, Boker Tov, Dobre Jutro. Not too much reaction there. You remember our tree here that used to harbour all the birds? They cut it down. I just noticed this about last week. I was going to keep that for some day for a relevant story. But here we have it today. This was that big tree that died in the last couple of years. Let's see, we just catch a lot of cormorants sitting on it. It had its time, and the wood was still usable probably, so they salvaged at least that. And then there'd be the liability of a dead tree, branches breaking off and falling on people. So trust, you see, that's part of the structure of everyday life. Trust to accept what other people tell us. Trust to travel on a road because there are people and authorities that have prepared it, and public responsibility in front of all of society said that road is viable, that bridge is safe. And so it is with the supernatural life. If this is true of the natural life, imagine of the supernatural life that's beyond nature. Maybe we just go down here inside along the water. And you get up on a bus and you trust And that's a horrible thing when terrorism strikes. Then it breaks the trust in society. Now you cannot go up on an airplane without being checked for security. Even they have to check your baggage. They go through everything. So the trust is broken. Trust is such a valuable dimension of life, such a precious dimension of life. And so we read in the letter to the Hebrews today that these great figures we've been reading about in Genesis, we didn't read about Enoch, and he's mentioned. He was the great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather of Noah, and he was taken up to heaven. And we read about Noah, of course. These two are particularly mentioned. The first one's mentioned in the account of chapter 11 of Genesis as being people of great righteousness, people who lived by faith. There's a great definition given there in Hebrews. Faith is the realization of what is hoped for and evidence of things not seen. And so we have faith at a human level, but also at a natural level here for life in this world. But we also have faith for realities that are beyond our access even by mere reason. They're not unreasonable, but we wouldn't know about them unless we were told. And because God created a world which is so good for us, then we can trust him, and he reveals himself. And many people have accepted his revelation. We reveal ourselves to each other as well as we go. We talk to each other, we express our feelings, but we also have great potential to cheat on the other and not to lie, to be insincere, or to do things that hurt others, and then people lose trust in us. We're not trustworthy. We don't deliver. And if we need faith to live here in the material world, well, that whole spiritual dimension of mankind then requires another level of faith for the spiritual dimension, but it's still the same structure of knowing and accepting something because I trust this person who is telling me. And we go to the gospel and we have a similar type of logic. Gosh, I never walked along here. And there we go, two big cranes go out there. And Jesus says, if you have the faith, you can do this if you have faith. Faith, obviously, in God's intervention. Then all we need at that point is that God exactly wants and sees that that's the best for me to have happen to me. And so there are many, many events and happenings and testimonies that confirm our faith. When people go through hard times together and support each other, they develop a great faith in each other, a great trust. And when they will need something, when there's hard times, they trust the other person. The beautiful trust that grows in a couple as they grow towards engagement and go to marriage, and through decades of marriage and the lifelong time together. If there's hurt or violence, terrible, then there's a real problem. And there's terrible disappointment, frustration, and it's so sad. And we as believers in God then need great understanding with those who do not have faith in God. And maybe their path of trust was hurt. Maybe it was even trust by believers. I've been very blessed to be reinforced by believers. I've also encountered people who are numbered among the baptized, even the ordained, and who've had major breakage in their lives. Very great counter testimonies. And that hurts. And some people take occasion of that type of failure to cut off faith and trust. And that's very sad, because faith and trust are very fragile. We know how people are so sensitive. They take offense at things and interpret things, and maybe that didn't correspond to reality at all. When tragedy strikes, when major, really objective difficulties and sufferings come our way, it's a great test for faith, but also a great opportunity for faith. So we leave it like that for today. The gospel is Mount Tabor, so I'll look up at the mountain here. There's a lot more to talk about, but that's enough for today. God bless you. See you later, alligators. Let's just go up to the sky today.